Okay, hello and welcome to etcd community meeting. We have October 20th and we can start with the first topic. Grita.
Yeah, hi. So the first issue, they are both related. The first one, ending in 95, is about deleting objects when etcd is at uh, no space. So the reason to file the issue is because compaction cannot go through today when etcd hits no space. Uh, and the reason is that Kubernetes wants to do a put request before they run the compaction. And there is an issue on Kubernetes side that was discussed, and there they say that this could be a feature supported from etcd. It's certainly doable. We could add in a new, say, compact v2, which does exactly that, what Kubernetes does today. But I wanted to bring it here to see what's the history on this and what do folks think about this? Do you have this problem?
Anyone? I don't. I didn't stumble onto this issue. I also like this precedes my, so I don't know if there are any maintainers that know of this issue. And if you can propose the fix, that would be great. I just at this moment don't know the I don't know the context about why Kubernetes does the put request. So would need to.
Okay. The fix that I have in mind is to have a compact v2, and in there, it would do the same thing that they are trying to do. So try to do a put, like try to get they have a compaction key where they save the revision that was compacted. So we could push out an API which does exactly that, and they just call it. That way, the put request is internal, and we can bypass the quota alarm just for this put request internally.
I'm not sure I understand why we need a separate API.
Because we want this put request to go through, even though the cluster is under no space. We could, so for example, another solution would be to bypass just this key when under alarm, but that feels a bit hacky.
Okay. Please, like, start the discussion. Like, I don't see here a proposal. What should be fixed? Like, you discussed compaction v2. I mean,
Yeah, it's just a one-liner called out there for now. I didn't want to go too deep without consulting with the broader community to see if anyone has any other solution or any history on this. So my solution is listed here just as a one-liner in the last paragraph, just above why this is needed. And I can definitely start elaborating more on that. I wanted to get some feedback on this before I go too deep into outlining the solution.
I mean, best to propose because I don't. Okay, this is like best to propose the design. So basically, I know there is just propose a new version. I know a new API, the proto, like how the new proto will look or whatever, like minimal, and look if anyone disagree.
Sounds good. Yeah. And there is the other side where the client needs to consume it too. So I need to go to that community and seek their thoughts as well. I wanted to start here first.
What client?
API server. they call compact today. So replace the code that you were just looking at, replace all of that with our compact v2 call.
I mean, they will, I can say they will definitely not want to call, like, what Kubernetes will do will definitely not do a breaking change. So whatever improvement you want to propose, you need to prevent a breaking change, because they will not use it at all. Like, no chance. Like, this is Kubernetes, like, it needs to be stable and compatible. So I would definitely narrow my solution space to what can we, I know, extend the current RPCs to support this. Yeah, that would be my suggestion. If it's compatible, if it's improvements, and Kubernetes API, kubectl or API server can just flip a flag, they will not care. And it doesn't, and it just in pure improvement, they will not care.
Okay, just so I understand, can you go back to that put request that you were looking at? Yeah, this. So the way it would look is that all of this will get absorbed into the new compaction API, and they would just call compact as they are calling today on 157 and pass in that key prefix where they want to store this thing. And internally, this logic will execute on HCD side. And it will run under no space because this is now internal put, so we can bypass the alarm. Do you think that will, I want to understand what you mean by breaking change.
I mean, adding a new API and having Kubernetes call this new API is a breaking, it's not a backward compatible change, because all their etcd will not support it. So you have, so there's, yeah, there is a problem that Kubernetes cannot expect this. Like, if we improve it in a way that is let's say compatible, the problem is that Kubernetes cannot know. Okay,
we can discuss offline, but
I think it's a good discussion. Like, I'm definitely would be for to look into suggest to figure out how to do it in compatible way. The only thing is that because of etcd being like not trusting time, it doesn't. It's hard to build something based on local time. So that's why it's done externally, because etcd doesn't like it. It can work on time difference, but usually maintainers were really against any using local time from any instance.
Okay, yeah, we can discuss offline. There is another way to implement, which I thought this one was better, but I'll reach out offline.
Yeah, okay, do you want to go into the second topic quickly? We have a lot of topics, so I will try to.
Yeah, I'll speed up the second one.
We have 5 minutes per topic, so please, less than 5 minutes. So if needed, I will remind you of time. If you can just fit in 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay. So the second bug, ending in 98, it's about letting the put request go through if there is space in the free list. So today the quota is evaluated using the size API of the backend, which does not change until defrag happens. But there is a size in use, which is going to change if compaction happens. So the second, this bug is saying that we should look at the size in use instead of size while evaluating quota. It has the link to the code there.
Okay.
And if we want to preserve the existing behavior, this can be a flag to etcd. So I filed it as a feature because maybe we don't want to change the existing behavior, but there is a case to be made that free list has space, then we should allow the put request.
I mean, okay. I mean, if you can develop it as separate flag, I don't know what's the name of the. If we have a similar flag, just mention like that is mirrored for the in space. I think it would work. I mean, it's just I would want to have a hard description of the use case because it's hard. The problem is that the original quota was based on how much memory etcd will grow into. So yeah, there is some, and it includes overhead. But you want to reverse it. So how much data you are really like storing or using, without handling the overhead, which depending on who you are or what your user, you can have a different idea what you care about. So I think it's mostly about building a good story, like why we want to do it. I expect mainly because you want to do it from the client perspective, and that was not historically true, or it was not matching, because originally alarms, my understanding, alarms are for administrator to make a direct decision. That's why they're not very, because it assumes that someone needs to dig into the cluster, make sure that everything is okay, and only when they approve, flip a flag and they are sure everything is okay, etcd can restore. I assume you want to make it much more
Exactly. Yeah. The issue calls it out somewhere, but we have environments that run into no space, and we want to enable a self-service experience, just like other storage systems. The space has filled up, you go and delete unwanted things, and it opens up. So there are some things that get in the way today to enable that sort of experience with etcd. These two are the main ones, and there is one more that is Chao is working on that. I'll post the link here in a minute. So we want to enable that self-service experience. Basically, that's the overall.
So I mean, no one still looked at it. I would want this context, like how you expect it will work. What will be the use case? I mean, we can add the flag, and if it's simple as experimental, if it's simple, then okay. I'm thinking about why we should motivate, or why. So it's question why we should have two separate flags, and how we can make the if we want to go into direction of alarms being automatically resolvable, how we want to, what would be how the experience will look like, because now it's.
I will start elaborating on both these items. I wanted to get initial feedback today. Thank you so much for all the comments.
Okay. Okay, we can go to the next topic. Bogdan?
Yeah, so I'll be quick. So we're trying to upgrade to everything to 3.5, but the problem is that the downgrade path from 3.5 to 3.4 is not really available, and it sort of slows down the adoption because it creates more risk, because when you say to people that, hey, you can really downgrade, like the downgrade passes from the backup, which might then lose some data. So I've looked at the history of this and tried to understand why this happened, and maybe I'm missing something here, but I also tried sort of doing this locally by just changing the version, and it seems to be working. So the question is the following: does anybody know historically why this was disabled, or is it just the fact because it's a major version change and there is no downgrade?
So fortunately, I'm the person I think that is currently most knowledgeable about this. To answer your first question, etcd never supported minor downgrades. So it was the downgrade support was never done officially, never tested. No one looked at it. Kubernetes technically wanted it, but it happily implemented it. I would not say it's implemented. It's also best effort. Can it be implemented? Yes, but it's hard if you read the design.
Yeah.
Will downgrades from 3.5 to 3.4 work? I can say it will work, but I would expect problems when you upgrade back.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
So to give you context, there is a new key. So you say, oh, Raft is compatible, but there is a new key in database because I did a schema. I needed to define a schema for etcd to implement downgrades for 3.6. There is new key that in 3.5 that is added and maintained, and it's important key. I will not look into it. But the problem is when you downgrade, this key will not be maintained by 3.4. So you will get outdated version of this key. And when you upgrade back, the etcd 3.5 will read this key again and interpret it wrongly and could cause issues. So basically, because you would have, like, during upgrades, you don't, like, assuming you do a rolling upgrade or zero downtime upgrade back, you would have 3.4 clusters and one 3.5 clusters, and all have the old version, but 3.5 started using indifferently, and it causes inconsistency between them. So okay. That's why for 3.6, I was proposing to have a full schema, which would add a migration script that would clear this field. So it's not.
I linked it there in those. Okay, thank you. Yeah, let's move on. I just was curious to get more context to this. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, if you can post your findings, so if someone looks into again into this question, that would be great.
Okay, I'll let that here. I'll open it under discussions. Yeah. So.
Okay, let's go to the next question. Yes, Yazdel, do you want to?
Hi all. This is the first time joining the community meeting, so hi. I was curious about, with Go 119 recently coming out and the Go memory limit soft cap, if there's been any investigation with etcd on what impact Go 118's garbage collection changes have, and if there's some target Go memory limit that could be used based on database size or performance or expectations.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If anyone did the test, please feel free to speak, but I'm pretty sure that no one did. So 1.19, I think it's only must etcd or main branch, the development branch has the 1.19, and that was not our decision to upgrade. I think it was upgraded because we wanted to stop being on the old versions, and 1.19 added a feature that we wanted to use. It's not that we test every single thing. If you want to start discussion, please file an issue, and I know either find what, if you find anything interesting, please post it, and maybe people get interested. That would gather more attention.
Cool. And an extension of that, will etcd 3.6 use Go 19? Is that the plan right now, whenever that eventually happens?
So it's on development branch. So the answer is, if nothing is wrong, we already upgraded. So if we don't revert, we will go with the current state.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, and we are good on time, Bogdan.
All right, so this is a super speculative kind of proposal, or even like just an idea. I was working on the functional test a little bit, and I noticed that they're pretty. So they haven't been really changed a lot since 2018, and I guess it's an okay framework, but it's an internal framework. So when you work with it, you have to sort of learn it. And Jepsen has a somewhat similar framework. I won't say it's it's exactly the same. It's more of a black box. So I was wondering if there's any sort of interest in, let's say, if I go through each test case and evaluate it and say, okay, it's possible to migrate to Jepsen, and it's also maybe possible to run Jepsen in CI, which is also a question. So will that be will the community be interested in merging that? Because that will be like a large change in basically removing the current framework, which is it's a different, I guess, conceptually. So if the answer is no, that's totally fine. But I just wanted to ask.
Okay. Yeah, sure. This is a very interesting topic because it's something that somewhat discussive. I mean, this is thing that is on my mind, mainly because of the consistency issue that should have been discovered by the current functional tests, but they are not maintained well enough. So this, like, unfortunately, I think you missed the bug that created here. And it basically says, it basically goes into the decision what we should do with the functional tests. It's not been decided, but because there's two approaches. The second maintainer is trying to fix, or Benjamin is trying to fix functional tests. I'm on the other side, which said tried to use Jepsen and found it unmaintainable. The discussion is here. Like with the Jepsen maintainer TLDR, we don't know the Jepsen is written in Clojure. No one knows Clojure. We don't have anyone that would know Clojure. We don't want to. The alternative would be to hire, or because the Jepsen author is a contractor, to contract him, but that would not be like, that would be not development for community, because we will still not have person that knows Clojure. And also it's hard to run Jepsen because it assumes you have AWS and everything else is bugged. It doesn't work. What else? And the problem is Jepsen, I mean, it would require a lot of work to get the Jepsen done, and we are not familiar with the Jepsen. So what we will do? So
okay, so I'll look into that and I'll comment on it.
Yeah.
I can
suggest you start from one thing. So what I did was, I'm proposing to. Oh, it's my thing is failing tests. That's interesting. Oh, this is Flake. I'm using the same methodology that uses Jepsen. So there is difference between, Josh, it's true, but the problem with Jepsen, the guy comes in, finds any issue that seems interesting and posts it, and
no, it doesn't solve our problems. I'm just saying this is why we haven't solved any of this before, because we haven't even tried, because it's too daunting.
I'm trying to use the same approach, which is different to functional test. They serve the same purpose, but the approach is different. I'm trying to use the same approach with that Jepsen does, but without writing another. Like, I'm writing a new framework, but basically I'm trying to reuse what we already use for end-to-end tests, and it's much simpler. And like, to give an example, my goal is mainly to reproduce the old historical data inconsistency issues. To give you an example how the test looks. I would really appreciate if someone can review it. The test looks like this, like just give me what file POM you want to trigger, give me traffic, what kind of traffic do you want to get, and test. And what Jepsen and this test uses, I use the ready library that is even recommended by Jepsen to solve the same problem. We test linear usability, so like distributed system property to behave like a system that is that has linear history.
Okay. Yeah. I'll review your PR. Sorry, I missed it. But this is very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't say it's ultimate decision. In my mind, this is best decision because it's maintainable by the community. We can easily add it and serve our own purposes and add historical tests to solve the old issues to prevent regressions. It's in known language and it doesn't add huge amounts of code because we already maintain end-to-end testing framework. So to give you, To give you example how I set up the cluster, I just use the end-to-end new process cluster. Like I just needed to implement and make sure that the killing or sick kill will be propagated because also end-to-end has some bugs or some missing features.
So if this, let's say this is going to go through, will you be potentially open to removing or migrating the test cases from functional folder into this? My main problem, I think, is that the functional framework is it's sort of been written and not too many changes have been made, and I think it was written by one person. It's a good approach, but it doesn't seem like any
my approach, I want to do that. It's going slowly because I don't get enough support. Now I don't have time and don't get support. The second maintainer wants to save the functional tests.
Okay.
And the goal, technically meet at some point. I decided not to do that because I read full functional test code and found it unrecoverable. Like the code, I can look up how I know traffic is simulating losing traffic on everything, but the code is too hard to not flexible enough. And basically you're rewriting it from down because it's not, because when you want to add linear usability tests, it's impossible to do it in a way that makes sense. I would be rewriting the code from scratch. So I decided to do that. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. I'll
okay, that's all. Sorry for 1 minute being late. Happy to see new faces like Josh. Feel free to feel welcome, and hope to see you on the next meeting. Or on KubeCon, if you're attending KubeCon. I will be there and there will be 2 maintainers. So see you on the next meeting.
Thank you.